When you love yourself enough, you will attract the right person. How loving yourself helps you choose better. What if finding the right person has less to do with searching and more to do with seeing yourself clearly? What if the moment you finally start loving yourself enough, the wrong doors close on their own, the wrong people lose access without drama, and the right connection appears, not as a miracle, but as a reflection of how deeply you value yourself? Today is not just a lesson about love, it's a lesson about identity, self, worth, healing, and confidence. This is part 1, and in this part, we'll dive deep into how loving yourself changes the way you choose people, and how that single shift begins the journey toward attracting the right one. The way you treat yourself becomes the standard. It's easy to think self-love is just affirmations in the mirror, taking care of your body, or posting quotes about knowing your worth. But self-love is much quieter and much deeper than that. Self-love is how you speak to yourself when you fail. Self-love is how you show up when no one applauds. Self-love is how you treat yourself when no one is watching. And whatever treatment you accept from yourself becomes the silent baseline for what you accept from others. If you talk to yourself like you're unimportant, you'll let others talk to you like you're replaceable. If you feed yourself with doubt, you'll accept relationships that feed you with uncertainty. If you tell yourself, "I'm not enough," you'll cling to people who make you feel almost enough. But when you begin to love yourself deeply, something subtle shifts inside you. You stop settling for people who treat you worse than you treat yourself. That's where attraction begins, not in need, not in desperation, but in self-respect. Being alone isn't a punishment. It's preparation. Most people settle not because they don't know what they deserve, but because being alone feels unbearable. But here's the truth. Loneliness isn't the absence of people, it's the absence of connection to yourself. Self-love teaches you to enjoy your own company, not because you don't want anyone, but because you don't need just anyone to feel complete. Imagine this. A person is standing in an empty room calling out, "Somebody come love me so I can feel whole." But another person stands in the same room and whispers, "I am whole, and I am open to someone who sees that." Who do you think is more likely to attract the right connection? Not the one begging the universe, but the one becoming the person they want to meet. Being alone stops feeling like waiting and starts feeling like building. And in that space of building, you grow into someone who can stand, speak, and choose without fear of losing yourself again. Self-love doesn't make you selfish. It makes you selective. Sometimes people will say, "Since you started loving yourself, you became distant." But distance isn't the problem, your boundaries are. Because when you love yourself enough, you don't reply just because someone demands your time. You don't stay just because someone apologizes. You don't continue just because something is familiar. You don't tolerate behavior that breaks your peace. You become selective, not arrogant. You become intentional, not cold. You become aware, not guarded. The right people feel respected around you. The wrong people feel rejected. Why? Because self-love exposes intentions. Someone who just wants attention won't survive where there are boundaries. Someone who wants connection will understand why they exist. Your standards don't scare the right person. Some fear raising standards because they think no one will meet them. But let's be honest, low standards never protected you either. Lowering your standards didn't bring you peace, it only brought you pain wrapped in false comfort. Your standards are not walls to keep love out, but filters that let the right love in. When you love yourself, you realize consistency is not asking too much. Effort is not demanding. Respect is not high maintenance. Reciprocity is not unrealistic. Those qualities are foundations, not luxuries. Someone once said, "Ask for nothing and you'll receive less. Ask for everything and you'll receive just enough." Your standards don't scare the right person, they guide them. The person meant for your journey will never be intimidated by your desire to be treated well. They will appreciate it because they treat themselves well too. Self-love helps you recognize red flags early. When you don't love yourself, you give many second chances that are just first chances repeating. But when you build self-love, patterns become clearer. You notice inconsistency before attachment takes over. You sense disrespect before excuses form. You feel manipulation before confusion blinds you. Why? Because self-love sharpens your intuition. Instead of thinking, what if I lose them? You begin thinking, what if I lose myself? And that single shift can save you years of pain. You stop romanticizing potential and start respecting reality. You stop falling for promises and start evaluating actions. You stop hoping someone changes and start choosing someone who is already aligned with who you are becoming. The voice inside you becomes kinder. Attraction isn't only external. It starts in your mind. Think about it. You can't attract people who value you if you don't value yourself. But when you love yourself enough, the voice inside you changes. Instead of, why am I never enough? It becomes, I am learning and growing every day. Instead of, people always leave me. It becomes, the right person stays because they want to, not because I cling. Instead of, I need someone to complete me. It becomes, I am complete, and I welcome someone who compliments me. This shift transforms not just your choices, but the energy you carry. People don't just hear your words, they feel your self-respect. Peace over attention, alignment over approval. Self-love rewires what you want. Suddenly, peace feels more valuable than popularity. Alignment feels better than approval. Understanding feels warmer than attention. Respect feels more attractive than charm. The old you might have chased validation, but the growing you seeks connection. And here's the surprising twist. The less you try to be liked, the more people are drawn to your authenticity. Because authenticity is rare, and rare is magnetic. The right person won't be drawn to your perfection, but to your presence. Being yourself saves your future from pretending. When you don't love yourself, you shift to be chosen. You lose your edges to fit someone else's outline. But loving yourself gives you the courage to say, this is who I am. This is what I value. This is where I am going, and I will not abandon myself on the way. You stop editing your personality to stay liked. Because pretending is exhausting, and being yourself is liberating. And when you show up as yourself, you attract people who choose the real you, not the mask you learned to wear. The shift from chasing to choosing before self-love. You chase attention, you chase affection, you chase validation. After self-love, you choose peace, you choose clarity, you choose alignment, you choose yourself. And that decision to choose yourself is the turning point of your story. Because the right person won't arrive because you chased them. They'll arrive because you became someone who no longer abandons themselves for love. When you love yourself enough, you don't become hard to get, you become hard to forget. Because your presence carries dignity, your silence carries boundaries, and your love carries depth. You stop begging for energy that drains you and start saving your heart for someone who recognizes its value. In the journey toward attracting the right person, your first step is not searching outward. It is looking inward and asking, do I treat myself the way I want others to treat me? If the answer is no, don't feel shame, feel opportunity, because loving yourself is not a destination. It's a daily practice. And as that love grows, so does your clarity, your confidence, your alignment, and your ability to choose better. Choosing better doesn't guarantee perfection, but it protects your future from repeating the past. At its core, self-love is not about being alone forever. It's about never losing yourself again. And that is where better choices begin. When you love yourself enough, you will attract the right person. How loving yourself heals your attachment to the wrong people. Let's be honest. Sometimes the hardest part of attracting the right person is learning to release the ones who weren't right for us, people who touched our hearts. Not our future. People who made us feel seen for a moment but didn't stay long enough to grow with us. If part 1 was about choosing better, part 2 is about healing deeply, because the heart can't receive new love while holding onto old wounds. Let's go into the part of self-love. Most people avoid letting go of attachments that hurt. not out of anger but out of clarity, not out of pride but out of peace. Why we hold on to what hurts, it's easy to judge ourselves for staying too long, loving too hard, or giving too much. But truthfully, we hold on because we're human. We hold on because attention feels like affection, familiarity feels like safety, memories feel like promises, and potential feels like reality. Sometimes the person we couldn't let go of was the first one who made us feel special, or the first one who looked at us like we mattered. They gave us something we'd never felt before, and so we cling to that feeling, not realizing the memory is not the relationship, and the relationship is not the future. But when you start loving yourself enough, you understand something powerful. Not everyone who was good to you once is good for you always, and it's okay to outgrow a connection that once helped you grow. Self-love teaches you you're not replaceable. Sometimes we stay with the wrong person because deep down we believe this is the best I can get. But self-love corrects that belief. It reminds you you are not limited because someone left. You are not unlovable because someone didn't stay. You are not unworthy because someone couldn't value you. People walk away for many reasons: timing, growth, fear, immaturity, confusion, but none of those reasons define your value. Self-love becomes the voice that says, I was valuable before they came. I will be valuable after they leave. That belief breaks the chains of attachment to people who didn't know how to love you. The pain of letting go is real, but it's not forever. Letting go hurts not because the person was perfect, but because they represented a hope, a dream, a version of yourself. The pain you feel isn't just about them, it's about the story you built in your head. And when that story collapses, your heart naturally aches. Self-love doesn't deny the pain, it guides you through it. It tells you, feel it, but don't sink in it. Cry, but don't surrender your future to tears. Acknowledge the love, but don't romanticize the hurt. Healing isn't pretending you never cared. Healing is understanding why it's healthy to move forward. Self-love breaks the cycle of chasing potential. One of the biggest traps we fall into is loving someone's potential more than their reality. But self-love teaches you you can't rewrite someone else's story. You can't force someone to grow. You can't love someone into maturity. You can inspire someone, support someone, but you can't carry someone who refuses to walk. Self-love whispers, stop watering relationships that don't water you. And the moment that truth sinks in, you stop begging someone to try and start appreciating someone who already does. You stop confusing intensity with love. Sometimes we mistake jealousy for passion, inconsistency for mystery, attention for care, dependency for connection, and intensity for love. But intensity burns quickly, while love grows steadily. Self-love gives you emotional clarity. If someone comes and goes, it's not romance, it's confusion. If someone makes you anxious, it's not destiny, it's imbalance. If someone loves you only when convenient, it's not commitment, it's availability. If someone values access to you but not support for you, it's not partnership, it's comfort. The right person won't make you question your worth, they will reflect it back to you. When you love yourself, you stop trying to fix people. Many of us become fixers without realizing it. We feel useful when we save others. We feel valuable when we heal others. We feel needed when we carry others. But here's the truth. You can support someone's growth, but you can't be the reason they grow. Self-love heals the part of you that feels responsible for someone else's journey. It teaches you to let people meet you halfway, to step back when your effort becomes their crutch, to love without losing yourself to someone else's struggles. You don't stop caring. You simply stop rescuing people who choose not to swim. Your heart learns peace over chaos when you haven't healed yet. Chaos feels familiar, and peace feels strange. But as self-love grows, your entire emotional world shifts. You start recognizing calmness as a sign of safety, direct communication as a sign of respect, consistency as a sign of love, honesty as a sign of maturity. Suddenly, you don't crave someone who gives you butterflies, you crave someone who gives you clarity. Butterflies fade, clarity lasts, and in that clarity, you finally see what love should feel like. Respectful, steady, mutual, secure. You forgive yourself for not knowing better before healing. Doesn't just mean letting go of others. It means releasing the version of yourself who tolerated pain because they didn't know their worth yet. Self-love becomes the voice that says, I forgive myself for staying too long. I forgive myself for not seeing my value. I forgive myself for loving deeply, even when it hurt. Forgiveness is not approval, it's freedom. Forgive your past self so your future self can breathe again. You learn to love without losing yourself. Love doesn't mean building walls, it means building a strong foundation. You can still love deeply, still care sincerely, still give wholeheartedly, but now with boundaries, clarity, and self-respect. You no longer fear losing people because you trust that anyone meant for your journey will walk beside you, not ahead or behind. Love becomes partnership, not sacrifice. Love becomes growth, not endurance. Love becomes peace, not confusion. Healing makes you magnetic in a quiet way. There's something deeply attractive about someone who is comfortable with themselves. Not loud, not attention seeking, not desperate for validation, just grounded. Self-love creates that grounded presence. People feel it in how you speak, how you hold your boundaries, how you don't chase, how you don't compare, how you don't crumble when someone leaves. Your energy says, I know my worth, I know my path, I know myself. That quiet confidence is what draws the right person in, not through force, but through alignment. Sometimes the right person doesn't arrive because you're still holding space for the wrong one. Self-love teaches you to empty that space, not out of bitterness, but out of readiness. Healing doesn't erase your past, healing repositions your heart so that your past doesn't control your future. The more you love yourself, the less you cling to what hurts, and the more open you become to what grows you. Letting go is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of growth. You're not walking away from love, you're walking toward the kind of love you finally know you deserve. And that journey is what prepares your heart for the right connection, one built on respect, clarity, and peace. When you love yourself enough, you will attract the right person. How self-love naturally draws the right person into your life. This is where it all comes together. You've built self-respect. You've healed from attachment to what hurt. Now the question is, how does self-love naturally bring the right person into your life without chasing, forcing, or begging? The answer is simpler than you think. You attract what you're ready for, not what you want, not what you imagine, what you're ready for. And self-love is what prepares you. Let's break down how loving yourself changes not just who you choose, but who you attract, how it transforms your energy, habits, boundaries, goals, and relationships so deeply that the right person doesn't feel like a miracle. They feel like alignment. The energy you carry becomes the invitation you send. Attraction begins long before someone speaks to you. It begins in how you treat yourself, the respect in your posture, the calm in your voice, the boundaries in your habits, the peace in your eyes, the way you hold space for yourself without apology. People feel your relationship with yourself even if they don't know your story. Someone who values themselves will sense that in you. Someone who plays games won't. Why? Because self-love is like a frequency. Those tuned to it recognize it immediately. You don't attract the right person through perfection, but through authenticity, confidence, and calm. Loving yourself changes what you look for. Before self-love, you might look for attention, excitement, intensity, validation. After self-love, you look for effort, consistency, communication, accountability, emotional safety, shared values, genuine care. It's not that you expect too much. It's that you finally understand what sustains love. Someone could have everything you once wanted, yet if they lack what you now need, your heart won't fall the same way. That's not being picky, that's being aligned. You become open without becoming reckless. Self-love doesn't make you cold or guarded, it makes you wise. You don't shut people out. You simply don't let them bypass the process of earning trust. You become open to connection, but not desperate for attachment. You can say, I like you, without pretending you don't. I need space, without feeling guilty. I'm not ready for this pace, without fear of losing someone. This doesn't feel right. Without apologizing, your honesty becomes clarity. Your clarity becomes protection. Your protection becomes trust, first with yourself, then with someone else. You attract the right person by being yourself self. Love removes the performance. You don't impress to be loved, you express to be understood. You don't cling to someone to feel significant, you stand as someone who already is. The right person won't fall for your image, your popularity, your highlight reel. They will fall for your honesty, your humor, your gentleness, your intelligence, your resilience, your warmth, your authenticity. And when you love yourself enough, you stop hiding all of that. You become someone worth knowing, not someone trying to be liked. That's where attraction begins. Your boundaries become a magnet for the right energy. Boundaries are not walls, they are doors with locks. A wall keeps everyone out. A boundary lets the right people in and the wrong people out. Self-love gives you boundaries that say, I won't tolerate disrespect. I won't accept inconsistency. I won't settle for crumbs. I won't abandon myself to keep someone. These boundaries don't scare the right person, they give them guidance, clarity, and safety. Because someone who has the capacity to love you won't be overwhelmed by your standards, they will match them. You stop competing and start connecting. There's a quiet confidence in someone who loves themselves. They don't compare, they don't compete, they don't copy. Because they understand, the right person won't be confused between you and someone else. You don't need to fight for attention. Attention given freely is worth more than attention won. You don't need to beg to be chosen. Being chosen effortlessly feels nothing like fighting for a spot in someone's life. Self-love removes jealousy because you know your place in your own life first. Your future feels bigger than your past when you don't love yourself. You cling to the past because it feels familiar. But when self-love grows, your future feels more exciting than what you've left behind. You begin asking, who am I becoming? What kind of love supports that? What kind of person grows with me? You stop returning to old chapters because you're too busy writing new ones. And the right person won't be found in the pages you already read, they'll be found in the life you're building now. You learn that silence is a language. People reveal themselves not just through words, but through effort, consistency, habits, patterns. When you love yourself enough, silence becomes clear communication. If someone stops trying, you don't chase. If someone avoids clarity, you don't guess. If someone disappears and returns randomly, you don't reward access. If someone makes excuses, you don't romanticize potential. Why? Because self-love teaches you that love without effort is not love, it's convenience. You don't punish people, you simply let their behavior decide their role. You attract who resonates with your growth. Growth is magnetic. As you grow, your conversations deepen, your habits improve, your priorities mature, your world expands, your emotional language becomes clearer. And people who share that growth will feel drawn into your life naturally. You won't need to prove yourself, your energy speaks first. You won't need to beg to be understood, the right person already speaks your language. You won't need to shrink to be loved, the right person will celebrate your expansion. Love stops being a battle and becomes a partnership. When self-love roots deeply inside you, your vision of partnership changes. You don't want someone to complete you, you want someone to walk beside you. You don't chase sparks, you build fires that last. You don't want chaos, you want clarity and consistency. You don't fall in love with broken promises, you fall in love with someone who shows up. And the right person, the person aligned with your growth, will not treat love like a game to win, but like a garden to tend. The right person recognizes the work you did on yourself. The right person sees the healing you did, the patterns you broke, the boundaries you learned to set, the peace you fought to protect, the strength behind your calm, the courage behind your standards, the love you learned to give yourself. They don't feel threatened by your independence, they feel inspired to offer partnership. They don't ask you to dim your light, they shine alongside you. They don't feel insecure about your growth, they grow with you. That's alignment. That's partnership. That's love rooted in self-worth. The truth about attracting the right person: you don't attract the right person by magic. You attract them by preparation. You don't attract the right person through fear. You attract them through clarity. You don't attract the right person by changing who you are. You attract them by becoming fully yourself. The right person will not enter your life to complete you. They will arrive because you finally completed your relationship with yourself. And remember, when you love yourself enough, you stop searching for someone to save you, and instead, you recognize someone who can grow with you. That's the moment the right person walks in, not because you were waiting, but because you were becoming. Self-love doesn't guarantee love from someone else, but it guarantees that you will never lose yourself again in the name of love. And that is the foundation from which the right connection becomes possible.